yell at me, I'll try to be loud. I had been employed at Trumbull County Children's Services for all of 5 weeks when Roberta came to our attention. Her parents had sought agency assistance, and severe parent-child conflict led to Roberta being placed in our residential center from September 1988 until June 1989. All of the staff working with Roberta could agree that she had an infectious smile and an engaging personality, which you can see here today. Her giggle would light up a room, and still does. But don't be fooled. As a resident in the unit, Roberta became very skilled at manipulating dorm rules in order to achieve her own desired goals. Even though Roberta experienced much sadness in her teenage life, she held an inner joy and exuberance that endeared her to all of us who worked with her. Later, Roberta would state that her experiences and knowledge that she gained while at the dorm would become a foundation for her future adult life. I remember vividly sitting in a staffing discussing Roberta when our then residential director, Marcia Tiger, made a comment that Roberta would be one of our success stories. Little did any of us know at that time how true that statement would turn out to be. Roberta returned home to her parents and later graduated from Warren G. Harding High School in 1991 with a diploma and a state of Ohio cosmetology license. In time, Roberta married and had a son, Brandon. She worked various banking jobs at the local hospital and at Umadoc. In 2005, Roberta's grandmother made her promise to continue to visit the residents at Washington Square Nursing Home even after her passing. Roberta kept that promise, and in 2007, she met business owner and community activist Helen Albert. Over the next 2 years, these very different individuals shared a relationship based on respect and a desire to help others. In 2009, Roberta founded two Christian-based female mentoring organizations, Motivation for You and Integrity Beauty Women of Excellence. In the fall of 2009, Roberta entered Youngstown State University seeking a social work degree. This very special young lady has come a long way, and we are very proud of her. Roberta, Trumbull County Children's Services is so proud of the choices and achievements that you have made over the last year, and we are pleased to present you with the 2012 award for Rising Up and Moving On.
How about now? Can you hear me? How about now? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I have to make a speech. I'm sorry. I have to because this is the first award I've ever been given, and this is a very big deal to me because I am a child in children's services, and it means so much to me. So here we go. Everyone just hold on. Have mercy on me. I would like to thank God for using me these past 39 years to learn from my pain and create a purpose from it to help others. I realize that I cannot stand here and tell you fully everything that I've experienced, but please believe me when I tell you that what you see here today is a miracle. You are looking at someone who has faced death so many times emotionally and wanted to give up that because I've fallen and had to rise again many more times than I can count, but I am still here. If there is anyone in this room that I have ever offended, I ask you now to please forgive me. It is hard to believe that almost 25 years ago, I was staring out of the fence that lined the grounds behind this church, watching cars pass by, and I said, one day, I will be used for something great. Carrie Class has stated it best in her short essay, Ambition. Sometimes you get close to something you wanted to do only to find it looks better from far away. The majority of people who have known me would say I am determined, persistent, resilient, and no nonsense. I am just like Terry Class. I go through the fight, give it my all, and no matter how much I get knocked down, I pick myself up, dust off, and achieve my goals. When I was a young girl, the 4 things I always said I would do in life is become a Playboy Bunny waitress, wear a Princess Diana wedding dress, sing backup for Madonna, and marry someone famous. Unfortunately, I never achieved any of those goals except for using a few rolls of toilet paper on my head so I could pretend that I had a long veil and princess dress and performing Madonna, my 8th grade talent show. Wow. To see me standing here today is a miracle on so many different levels. Not only did I have to overcome obstacles at home, but I saved my mother's life from a suicide attempt, survived a tragic gang rape, verbal and sexual and physical abuse, not just to myself, but I would abuse men emotionally as well. I was living in a hell around me that no matter where I turned, I could not step out of. I experienced rejection from my father that caused me to search for the love of a father from other places. I was wounded and bitter, and I was like a python when it came to men. I had a plan to destroy them, and it was an act in which I felt gratified because of all the things that I experienced. I wanted them to experience back in return, and I realized what happened to me was not most of these men's fault. But I knew in my heart someone was going to have to pay for my pain. I lived a life of alcohol abuse, anorexia, self-mutilation. I was so consumed by what others thought of me that it was an emotional hell that I experienced on top of everything I had happening around me. After my mother's suicide attempt, I was placed into Trumbull County Children's Services. I needed to be someplace that I would feel safe and have structure. I have to say that Children's Services was a blessing in disguise to me. Living at CSB was my chance to have structure and to also live in a dorm with females who were battling just like I was. I still had relationships with some of those young ladies and several of those house mothers that still mentor me to this day. There is no way that you can walk away from an experience such as living at Children's Services and not want to share your life with the mentors who cared for yours. I consider CSB a very big blessing in my life. It is an awesome experience for me. Yes, I had my moments. Who hasn't? I always tried to find some way to always leave a lasting impression to anyone I have been around. One of my favorite times was when Miss Geezy, my house mother, asked me, "Why don't you ever have any clothes to wash?" And I said, "Because my friend washes them for me." Remember that, Miss Geezy?
Been a long time, Berta.
Another favorite pastime of living in a dorm were space night with Miss Geezy and Miss Dawkins. That I would play it again with them without hesitation if I was ever offered. To me, and again the Christmas pageants that we went to by bus to Sharon, Pennsylvania. I still remember sitting next to Julia Vandergrift the whole time from the lunch to the show and saying to myself, one day I will be like her. I remember riding in the back of the van on the way back to the dorm wanting to live a better life and make a difference to others. I believe We Have a Bit of a Problem was more than one season of Different Strokes that Arnold would say. I always would say to him, we have a bit of a problem. To this day, CSB is my family. I call CSB caring, sharing, and believing in me. As I write this, I can feel the warmth of the love that is given to me and hear the laughter in my house parents' voices as they truly wanted to care for me, who I was, not for being another number and not for being another issue in the system. To everyone who is or who was a part of CSB, you are a part of my family and my success, and I truly thank you. I'm honored to be a CSB child. I have a very large family, and most of them I have never met, or they have never met me, but I am thankful. When I left the dorm in 1989, I still encountered battles, getting each more and more difficult. I met my first husband when I was 19, and we had our son, Brandon. My son is an angel to me. He is the one who has kept me whole throughout my whole adult life. Brandon knows all of my battles because I've shared them with him. He has seen me in my down moments, and he reminds me never give up. I believe that God brought Brandon to me to help remind me that God loves me just as much as I love my son. Brandon is the one male who has loved me unconditionally, a feeling I have never experienced. At the age of 27, Brandon's father and I divorced. A little less than 2 years later, I reconnected with my current husband, Michael. We went to junior high and high school together. He was the first man I ever told, "You cannot handle me." I told Michael the painful truth about what my past relationships were like. Michael was willing to take a chance with me, and my life began to change. Michael was different than any man I've ever met. He was my rock. He accepted all the junk I had been through. He experienced some of it himself, and he gave me the time to grow and change. Carrie Class states, ambition is dreaming big dreams, putting limits on your expectations and your hopes. Ambition means to never give up. Continue to be determined. Do not allow those who are naysayers that look at the failures you have achieved, then the times you have dusted off and began again. Ambition is having eagerness, drive, determination, and devotion that regardless of who tried to knock you down, your dream remains standing. When I was 32 years old, I reconnected with my grandmother on my father's side. I was taught about being a woman of her word during this time. I had the opportunity to experience those who were in my family who were involved in my grandmother's life solely for greed. I was reminded what my ugliness was like to others, and it helped me grow in my character. God used my life not only to help myself, but to help others once I learned from my pain. My grandmother died of brain and lung cancer, and while she passed away, I held her in my arms, and I realized my life would never be the same. She took her last breath with tears streaking down her face, and I cried the hardest I've ever cried in my life, to the point that I bruised my face. I told her I was wrong for all the things that I've done, and for not being a better person, and not for being an example to others I should have been. This was the defining moment in my life. Listen, I realized at that moment, one day, this will be me. I will be in this exact place. How many people will be sitting by my side helping me to get to the next level of my journey? Or will most of the people who attend my funeral arrange a line as I am buried and want to piss on my grave for all the wrong I've caused? After my grandmother passed away, I made a vow to God that I would change my life. And since March of 2005, these are some of the things that I have done to make a difference to people. I continue to visit the residents at Washington Square Nursing Home where my grandmother passed away. I started Motivation for You, which is to help individuals turn their pain into purpose. I go into the prison to mentor youth and adult inmates as they help them with their walk with Christ. I am an ordained minister, a certified life coach. I am the founder of Integrity Beauty Women of Excellence, which is a national women's ministry that teaches women how to use their testimony and talk to others about Christ. Integrity Beauty Women of Excellence is dedicated to Helen Albert. She was our first African-American registered nurse in Trumbull County. I have worked with the City of Warren to dedicate March 30th as the Helen L. Albert Day of Prayer and paying it forward. Went to Warren City Council to have a street Van Wyck Southwest named as the Helen Albert Memorial Parkway. And I've also had the former mayor, Michael O'Brien, assist me in giving her a key to the city. I started college in the fall of 2011 to get my master's degree in social work, so that I can lead my Integrity Beauty Ministry program where it becomes a nonprofit. If possible, I intend to purchase the home that Helen Albert lives and a home for women who need assistance on a temporary basis. I want to teach women that they can soar just where they are in life, and that they can be used no matter where they have come from. It is because of the persistence of Julia Vandergrift and the passion that she had for me to see me excel in helping others that I can say I stepped off the boat and walked out in fear and started a new journey in my life. She told me many times over in the past 24 years about going to college. But in July of 2011, when my grant closed at the Warren Yuma job, she said to me, "Baby, I have been telling you since you have been 15 years old, you've got to go get that social worker degree. I knew that it was time to stop making excuses and step up to my calling. Every Friday, Julie receives a report of how my school week was. She has been dedicated to my cause, and I truly thank her for that. I am blessed that I'm following her footsteps. As Perry Cloud states, the world is full of disappointed people. Some of them probably never had much ambition to start with. They sat back and waited for something good and felt cheated because it never happened. Some of them had very set, specific ambitions, and for one reason or another, never got what they wanted. Others got what they wanted, but found it wasn't exactly what they expected it to be. I have decided I can choose to be the eagle and fly alone, or be the chicken and flock in a group and just stand idle. I choose to soar, put myself on the line to help others who are in need of inspiration. I fly alone because I realize my purpose. All the garbage and all the junk I experienced in my lifetime is in a treasure box, not to be grieved over, but to be celebrated and be used as a reminder to those who want to quit. I choose to pick them up and teach them how to fly so they can be a leader and fly as well. I would like to thank everyone who has been a part of my life, past or present. Believe it or not, you have or you are making a difference in my life. I am honored that all who sit with me at my table today are pivotal people who have been a part of my life throughout my years. My former caseworker, my 7th grade teacher, my mother, my former baton teacher, my mother-in-law, my husband-in-law, husband and my son. Husband-in-law, aw. Thank you for investing your time into my life. You are part of the reason I am here today. My mother, Mom, I would like to dedicate this honor to you. Because if it was not for you and the challenges you had to face, I would have never been standing here today. Mom, I want you to know, I realize that some days you battle, but you keep one thing in mind. I know some days that you get down because you tried to take your life and you hoped that my father would have found you. Mom, I'm glad that I did. If it would have never been that I found you, I would have never heard from the Holy Spirit for the first time in my life, and I wouldn't be able to inspire all of the people who wanted to give up because they feel that they are not worth any value. Mom, your experience has taught me to rise up and move on, that we all have a purpose, and though we may not understand what is happening at the time, in the end, God reveals his plan. Mom, I love you, and I am very proud of you. In closing, I think of a memorable time in my life that God showed me that he had made me whole. I was mentoring juvenile females, and we were sitting at a table by a large window. The sun would always shine brightly in the room where we sat. One day, I happened to look down and started to laugh, almost cry, and I said to the girls, I cannot believe it. I finally get it. God has made me whole. They said, Miss Roberta, what do you mean? I looked down at my arm and said, this is the first time in over 20 years I noticed the deep cuts on my arm. The sun was shining in a way that I could see the deeply faded scars on my arm, and I said to them, see, ladies, you will always carry a reflection of your past with you. It is how you allow God to heal your heart that allows God to heal you and make you whole. I still carry those scars on my body that once wounded me, but I realized it was only through God that I could allow my pain to fade, and every once in a great while I get a humbling reminder of how much I have changed my life. This has been a journey I had to take on my own. I can't say why God had me go through all that he did, but there's something he needed me to do with it. My favorite quote to the young ladies I mentor who cut themselves is, the next time you want to cut yourself, cut paper hearts and give them to someone who has been hurting and inspire someone else's life by saving your own. Thank you.